we are probably just going to get started. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is our supporting K-12 students with our Spanish computer science curriculum webinar, and it's part of our 2024 back to school webinar series. I have allotted for 45 minutes today. It's probably not going to take that long unless you guys have tons of questions that I can answer at the end. If you are interested in the slides at any time, and hopefully these will let me know if you cannot access these, and I can fix that for you. But if you absolutely cannot, then no big deal. I will fix that. What we're gonna do is we're going to get started. I dropped the slides into the chat. Hopefully you're able to see those. What I would like to know from you guys before we start this webinar is, why did you decide to join us today? Go ahead and put that in the chat too, so I can see. You can tell me where you're from. You can tell me what you teach as well, maybe what grade level. It's up to you. So let's go ahead and get started. So I will begin by introducing myself. My name is Leanne Grant, and I am a PD specialist here at CodeHS. I have been with CodeHS for about a year and a half. Before that, I was a computer science teacher in the classroom for 10 years. During that time, I also was an ELL teacher and at the high school level, and I worked with ELL students for about 4 years out of my 10 years on top of teaching computer science. So this is a subject that is near and dear to me as well. So I'm hoping that I can help you guys with this today as well. So what we're going to do today is talk about our K through 12 Spanish curriculum. And then we're going to really focus on then breaking it down into our middle school and high school curriculum and our elementary curriculum. And that's kind of what we're going to look at. I'm going to show you how to access it and how to know what has been translated and what is available for you as well. So we're not going to worry about the Q&A today. I like to use the chat. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. If you cannot access the slides, put it in the chat. If you have a question, put it in the chat, anything like that. Okay. So if you do not have CodeHS, you are able to sign up for a free teacher account at codehs.com/sign up. And with that, I would say definitely sign up with your teacher email, because that way we can verify you as a teacher. And if you do already have a CodeHS account, thank you for joining us, and we will continue on from there. If you do already have a CodeHS account, you can go on to this next link. If you don't, what you will have to do is you will have to sign up to be able to use this link. What it is an attendance link, and it'll give you a certificate of completion for attending today. But it will only work if you're already signed into CodeHS. So you have to be signed into CodeHS first, and then we will be able to send that certificate to you. All right. So let's look and talk about our K through 12 Spanish curriculum. So over the last couple of years, we've spent a lot of effort in doing translations and creating tools so it's easier for you as a teacher to teach students who may need the curriculum in Spanish. And there's also have some tools that are easier for students to be able to use and to be able to switch back and forth between English and Spanish as needed. And so with our K through 12 Spanish curriculum, we really say that we're empowering ELL students, so English language learners in computer science, and that we believe that every student does deserve the top quality of education regardless of language barriers. And so Spanish is our first step towards solving that barrier or overcoming that barrier, and our curriculum is really tailored to meet the needs of a blended language classroom. So you can combine the excitement of programming, which is always in English, with the power of a language if you need to. So we also understand that every learner is unique. So we do have some differentiation tools to offer each LL students to be able to thrive in their classroom. Okay. So what you're seeing here on the screen is just some examples of some lessons that they are in Spanish. This is our curriculum catalog. our course catalog that has some information in Spanish, and then an example of a lesson that is in Spanish that students can see. Teachers can turn on the view as well for themselves, or they can turn it on for their students, and I'll show you that here in a second. All right, so what we're gonna first start off is talking about our high school and our middle school curriculum. So we're gonna talk about the high school and middle school Spanish curriculum. We have translated material as well. So I'm gonna show you what is translated, how to change the account language preferences, changing student language preferences, and then being able to provide feedback to students as well. So one of the things that you can do in our course catalog is search by Spanish courses. So I'm going to actually show you this in the platform. So when I'm on the platform, I'm going to go under the curriculum option over here to our course catalog app. When I'm in the course catalog app, if it loads, there it goes. I can go by this tag right here, okay? And I can go down to Spanish. Now, before I do that, I do want to show you, if you are in the regular course catalog, if I was to go over here, anything that has an ES over here is also available in Spanish. Okay, so you can see it here easily, or you can go and see all the courses that are specifically translated into Spanish, and you can see that everything we have on here is going to be that. So maybe you're a middle school teacher and you want to see what middle school courses are available in Spanish, that would be here as well, okay? And then let's just look at what Python courses are translated. Let me go back to all, and you can see that the majority of our classes now are doing this. I said this is a huge push for us over the last couple of years. So we have made sure that you have the availability of all of our courses versus just a couple few. Okay. So once you're into the course catalog, oops, I have an Apple mouse, so it's a little bit touchy. So once you're in the catalog, you can do a couple things. So I can obviously see this is available in Spanish, all right? But maybe I need it turned on in Spanish, or maybe I need it to my students to be able to view things in Spanish. You need to be able to turn that on for them since it's not automatic, not automatically done. These are English classes or courses that we've had in the English language that have been translated. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple ways to be able to change this in the account settings. So for the teacher to be able to change a student, you're going to go to your roster and then you're going to go to the preferred language. So let me show you what that is. So if I go to a roster for any of my courses here and I go to manage students, okay? When I go to my roster and manage students, over here on the very right-hand side, you can see that it says English or Spanish. I am going to actually select a different course because I want, I wanted to be able to show you what it looked like on the student side, but I'll show you in a different way here in a second. So I can actually turn this on for Spanish for Hal, okay? So now if I went in to Hal's assignments, okay, I'm gonna still see them in English, okay? So it says view in this, the student is viewing their assignments in Spanish, okay? So if you want to view this page in Spanish across the top, it's going to do that as well. So now I can view it in Spanish, and now there's another thing that says return to English. So even if you are teaching in front of a class, if you are helping a student, you have the option to switch back and forth between the English and Spanish while you're looking at the student page, okay? So that's the first way. Another way that students can turn on their Spanish versus their English translation is by going up here to their account settings. Okay, so if you're in account settings as a student, they're going to see their account settings. It's just going to look a little bit different than what yours does. But if I go to your account information, and this has a lot of more information because it's my my admin account, but you can also change that here. So you can change it as a teacher, or you can change it a student can change it as a student. So I'm gonna change mine to Spanish. And now I'm gonna go back to my roster. Or I'm gonna go to assignments. Now, what I've done is I've turned all of mine on completely in Spanish, so that way I'm able to view this. But if I wanted to turn it back off, I would just go back to my account settings. My internet is not the site, it's definitely the internet today, and turn this back on to English. So the reason I'm showing you this is that students are able to do this in the exact same way. Students would go up to their profile, go to account settings, and they can flip back and forth between English and Spanish. Why is that important? So the reason that I would say I would use it in the classroom is that I have some students who are doing very well in reading English, very, very well. So they're be able to read the directions, they're able to read as much as they can in English, but maybe they get to a paragraph or a set of instructions that they don't quite understand. Then they can go in, they can switch it to Spanish, view that assignment in Spanish, and go from there. And so it's kind of that stepping stone that maybe the students aren't quite fully English language learning, at a certain level. They're not at that level, that higher level 5 or whatever it is. Maybe they're at a level 3, and they need to have that extra push. Or maybe they just want to be able to have the option. It's up to you as a teacher how you do that, whether you let them know they can do that or whether you turn it on and off yourself. Okay. So that is how you would turn it on and off in the middle school and the high school settings. So what is translated as far as the content? So for students and teachers, okay, all the titles of everything are going to be translated. All the descriptions are going to be translated of all of the assignments, the quizzes, the examples, the exercises, all of that, except for the code. So obviously coding and programming is all still going to be in English. It has to be that way because it is a programming language. They're learning that language in addition to then learning English as well. And so it has to stay there. So when I say quizzes, examples, and exercises, that's only the directions, okay, that are going to be translated. Now, our slides are in English, or our slides are translated, but our videos are in English with subtitles, okay? And I'll show you that here on the next slide. Our docs tab, excuse me, is translated, and then any kind of connection activities or anything like that will also be translated as well. So this is what it would look like then. If you were to start a video in Spanish, you can see that the subtitles are going to come up. Okay, so it does say Carol is going to, but if I wanted to change this to Spanish, it's showing you on the right hand side how to change it to a different language. Takes a second. Find Spanish, because the subtitles are already on and now they're able to listen to the video as it goes and read those captions in Spanish. Okay. All right, I wanted to show you then in here, in Spanish, let's go to HAL again. And I'm going to view their page in Spanish so you can see as a student side what they're seeing. So obviously I'm seeing this information, all of the module or unit titles, the lessons, even the percentage over here of the course of the module completed. You have your lesson name or the lesson title, and then each of the activity titles are also in here. If I was to click into a video, the directions are here. The slides that I have across the top should be translated. These, I will have to look at this, but they should be translated as well. I'll have to look back and figure that part out. But let's go back here. Then we'll go into our quiz here. Obviously, because I'm not in a I wonder if it's not because I'm not in a student account. Let me go in and change mine to Spanish. I'm in my admin account and it looks very different compared to what a regular student account looks like. So let me go into Spanish. And I will go back into assignments. I apologize. And then I'm going to go to student view. And when I click on this, now you can see that this is in here. Let me go back. Hopefully that video will be in so the directions, the slides. There it is. Okay, it was the view that I was in. So now that I'm viewing it as a student, now I can view my slides in here, and your student with that setting turned on will automatically have those slides available to them. Okay. Again, if I was on the video, it will play in English, but you can turn on the captions. And then when we get into examples, when our directions pop up, they will be in Spanish. Our code is obviously in English. Our docs section, the code and the programming languages in here will be in English, but the descriptions will be in Spanish, as well as our captions. Okay, so if we comment anything out in code that is in Spanish, you can even see that this function is in Spanish. Okay, so honestly, I mean, it functions because we're creating them in whatever we need them to be, unless it says specifically the turn right function, you have to use the turn right function. Technically could be in Spanish language as well. Okay, as long as the autograder is not looking for the English version of it. And then our exercises and everything are in Spanish. If I was to go to run the code here, if I go to my test cases and check my code, even this here is my descriptions and my messages are all going to be in Spanish. Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions about the middle school and high school portion of our website before I move on to the elementary? Okay. So let's look at the elementary side. So first of all, I'll show you the curriculum with that. What is translated? I'm going to show you Scratch in Spanish and then how to change the language. Okay. So if you are an elementary teacher, this obviously you know that we have a different platform for elementary. And so it may look different to you. This is all of our lessons, the elementary lessons here, and you can see that there are Spanish tags on the ones that have been translated. So I'm going to go to our elementary section so I can show you what that would look like. So I'm going to go to all lessons here and let it load. And you can see the Spanish tags here. Okay. You can also, if you wanted to do let's just do, maybe if I spell right, that would help. Search Spanish, it's not going to come up, but it's not, there it is. There's the Spanish tag. I knew it was here somewhere. So if I actually put that Spanish tag up and if I turn it off, I'm not seeing anything that's different. We've been, like I said, working so hard to make sure everything is translated. If I was to turn it off, I'm not seeing anything that doesn't have that Spanish tag on it. Oh, there's one that is an unplugged activity for digital identity. So you're going to come across a very few, but that's it. Okay. So that's how you would find your lessons in Spanish for that, and that's what it's going to look like. So what's translated on the elementary side? So elementary is a little bit different, okay? So choosing Spanish will provide the student with the default Spanish in Scratch and the starter code in Spanish, okay? The teachers can share the link to the Spanish in not ready to go slides, or they can project them, and they also can share the Spanish interactive activity. It just, you can't push the interactive activity to the students, but they can push their starter code. You can push the starter code to the students, okay? And you can print Spanish printable code instructions as well. Selecting Spanish will make no changes to Spanish Junior. It's only to or to Spanish Junior. Goodness, to Scratch Junior. But it only makes changes to Scratch. Okay. So again, we do have those translated slides. Our videos have subtitles and Scratch. So that's the majority of what it looks like here. And so going into a specific lesson, I'm just going to click on the very first one here. All right. Everything is in English. Okay. So here you have the Spanish version of the slides. You have that option right there and seeing that view. Okay. And then you have printable code instructions in Spanish over here as well. The other thing I wanted to show was, let's see, standards. This one doesn't have it. Let me go back and I'll show you here in just a second. So, this is what it will look like in Spanish in Scratch. Okay. And so you're going to see this is a little bit different than in the high school, middle school. In Scratch, their blocks actually change to Spanish. So they are coding in Spanish. Because this is JavaScript based and it's blocks that can happen. But when we're actually doing the live text in high school and middle school, it will not work. Okay. But you can see that it all will be here in Spanish, and I will show you that here in just a second. So how do we turn this on? Again, we have a setting up here for the section roster, and then you're going to change to Spanish over here on the bottom. Okay. So if I was to change my account, now I was in Spanish already. Let me see if it, as a teacher, will let me go back and change that in the elementary side. It's still in Spanish, so it did not apply. Doesn't apply to the Spanish side. So, or to the elementary side. Let me go back to my elementary. So let me just get into here. Okay, and I'm going to show you that I can change when I go to settings. Okay, if I go down to my students, I'm able to change them between English and Spanish. Now, they don't have the option here to be able to change it themselves. They are a younger group, okay, so they will not be able to see that option. But they can, as a teacher, you can change that between English and Spanish on this side. Okay. And then I wanted to actually show you what it looked like. Let's see if I can change hers to Spanish. And I can go into, oh, who did I change? I don't remember. Christina. I changed Christina's. All right, let's go into Christina's homepage and projects. You can see that it is in Spanish. Okay, so I'm going to go into her project here. It is in Spanish. It actually popped up, and I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but it does have a Google Translate that popped up in my Chrome browser of between Spanish and English when I was here. I'm just waiting for this to load. Hopefully it'll load in a second. I'm sorry. Again, my internet is a little slow today. In the afternoon, it tends to do that, and I'm not exactly sure why. Oh, please load. Okay, well, I'll keep going on and see if this loads here in the background. But I do want to show you some more resources that we have in addition to what I just showed you. So for students viewing the course in Spanish, all of these resources that I've given you on the slideshow are different KB articles that we have, knowledge base articles. And so we have one of for students how to view a course in Spanish, how to again, I'm sorry, my mouse. The CodeHS language preference settings, how to change them, how to support English language learners in the CodeHS Elementary. So that's our elementary platform. And then CodeHS Elementary language preference settings, how to change those. So you can always reference those as well moving forward. Let me see if this loaded. Yeah, it did. Yay. Okay, so you can see that anytime that I am doing anything in here, everything is going to be in Spanish here, if you can see that. So, I'm doing my move and my turn, and I'm gonna move this off of here. And so I'm going to do this. So I didn't have a move very much, but let's have a move 100, 100, and then turn 90 degrees. Okay, so now he moved 100 and turned 90 degrees, the first sprite did. So you can see that everything here will be in Spanish. Everything as you go through will be in Spanish as well. And then the other options, the other tabs here are also the sprites, and the costumes will also be in Spanish as well. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about our elementary platform in Spanish? All right, so we are going to wrap up here. I told you we were going to be a little bit early. If you guys don't have any questions, if you have any other questions about any kind of our curriculum, our Spanish curriculum, our resources, our tools, anything that you can have, think of even at a later time, then I would love for you guys to just get a hold of us. You can use that down here on the right-hand side. I'm going to go to the high school side here. Maybe if you can see it, let me zoom back out. It won't let me zoom back out. Reset. This right down here on the lower right-hand side, you have the help here. Okay, you can send us a message anytime you want. And excuse me. And somebody will get back to you right away. Okay. Today I'm going to give you a webinar survey. If you would like to fill this out, I would love for you to give me a little bit of feedback on the webinar, and I just put that in the chat. Again, the certificate of completion, everybody was in here when I gave it to them before. So, but if you need that again, well, you know what, I'll just drop it just again, just in case. You guys are very quiet today, so I'm assuming you don't have any questions. All right, so coming up, we have some more CodeHS webinars that I would love for you to attend if you would like. So we have some state ones coming up, a couple AI. We have our first one, the AI on 9:30 is middle school, high school, and then we have an elementary coming up in October. We have a new, if you teach CSA, we have a new AP CSA educator meetup. Where at the meetup, teachers are going to discuss different kinds of pacing and learning strategies and things, and it's run by one of our teacher trainers. So that is on October 22nd at 6 p.m. If you want to do that, you can sign up. I will drop that link for you here as well in the chat. Here we go. And then very excitingly, I also want to tell you about our road trip that we have coming up. We are now having somebody join. We are going to be driving coast to coast and doing classroom visits and PDs and a lot of different things across the country. So you can request a visit to your school by going to codehs.com/road trip. And there is going to be continuing throughout the rest of the school year. Okay, so we're going to start here in a couple of weeks, and through May, we'll be traveling all over the United States. You got to look for our pink van because this is a picture of our actual pink van. So if you want to participate in that, make sure that you drop that link. All right, if you're interested in bringing CodeHS to your classroom, you can go to codehs.com/learn more. And if you guys don't have any questions, I will say thank you. I will stay on here for a couple more minutes if you guys don't have any questions. Otherwise, I will thank you for coming today. And thank you very much for teaching our students. I appreciate so much what you do on a daily basis. Thank you so much. Have a great day.